Let's see, there's so many gears on this thing. Let's try this one, huh? Okay. Chop, blend, there it goes. All right, come on now, go. That's enough. That's enough. Now we'll add this to our pot, which now contains chicken broth, pumpkin, and tapioca. Sounds a little bland, doesn't it? But now you just wait. You just wait. For our seasonings, we're going to put in a bit of nutmeg. This is a nutmeg grinder. Isn't this a jewel? It has a little blade in the bottom, and you put in the nutmeg, the whole nutmeg, and so when you grind it, you see, it comes out in little flakes. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I couldn't get along without that. I love nutmeg, but I hate to buy things that are already pre-ground. You know my rule about that. You don't know who ground it, you don't know what they were grinding up. So don't do it. Little nutmeg. We need a little bit of pepper. And perhaps a tiny smidgen of salt. I'm not going to add much until I taste it. And you might want to add a pinch of sugar. Just a pinch of sugar to support the pumpkin. You know what I mean by support. It helps bring out a flavor, literally. Now we'll bring this to a good simmer, taste and correct the seasonings, and then we have to decide whether or not we'd like to add, oh, how about a shot of Tabasco? Wonderful stuff. There, that'll make them sit up at the table. Pumpkin and Tabasco, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. You'd love it. Let me show you what the finished product looks like. Enough of this playing around, huh? If we find room for everything here. Okay, doke. Where is the pumpkin? It's over here. Right. Pumpkin soup. I have little tablecloths here for you today. Isn't that fancy as can be? Because I want you to understand that you can put all of these on a buffet and eat as many as you want, or make your two favorites. Maybe eat 3. I don't know how many you want to do. Not at all. Okay, here's the pumpkin soup. Look at this. It's just beautiful. I think we're going to need a parsley garnish for some color. And we need a ladle and a bowl. Here it is. Oh, that's marvelous. You see the tapioca? Yes, you can see it. Wonderful. Pumpkin soup for the kids. Remember now, if you're serving this to children, you might want to cut down on the Tabasco content. But otherwise, have a good time with it. It's delicious stuff. Are you ready for another one? The next one is so quick and so easy that I think you're going to probably want to make it often. Oh, get some room here. Let's do this. Okay. I have, this is a corn and clam chowder. Now remember, well, it's not one yet. I just have some onions in the pan. Remember that in early times, the colonial forefathers, at least the white guys, you see, learned from the Indians to eat clam and corn. These two food products kept us alive during the early days, the early Europeans. So we're making a very, very American soup. And it's simple. Sauté a yellow onion in a tiny bit of butter. Throw in 1 can of cream-style corn. Add to that 1 can of milk, and I'm just going to put it right into the can and rinse out the rest of the creamed corn. There we are. Bring this to a simmer, along with a little bit of salt and lots of pepper. You love the pepper. And here we go. And a little bit of dill. Dill weed will make this very exciting. I don't think dill was common in the colony, so I suppose I'm cheating a tad. But nothing bad, you see. A little bit of dill. That's enough. And we'll bring that to a simmer, and then throw in 2 cans of clams. All right, we've simmered this long enough, you see. I'm lying to you, of course. I wanted you to simmer this for a time so it is hot. And we're going to put in 2 cans of clams. Again, these are 6.5-ounce chopped clams, juice and all. And what we should do is to cheer our forefathers who invented this dish and who ate it out of the sake of starvation. You and I can eat it because it's a restorative. Isn't that a neat word? Next time you go into a restaurant, you can say, aha, the restorative, and that's how you start your meal. But in this case, we want to I'll get rid of this one now. In this case, we want to have restoratives for several meals. And I have one all ready for you in the refrigerator, in the oven. Yes, you can cook these, refrigerate them, and then warm them up at the last minute. I would worry about the clam chowder a bit because that's going to be a little overcooked, but the rest of these can take it, especially the pumpkin soup. That can be warmed up. I want these things all ready, you see, when your guests come. So you can sit down and have a glass of sherry with them and have a party. Oh, that's gorgeous. Let's see what that looks like in a bowl. I have a little bitty brown pot. Somehow I'm into, for this soup, I think I need something little and brown, you see. Clam, milk, corn, creamed corn, a bit of dill, and salt and pepper. Put in lots of pepper. That'll make it. There we are. Oh, come on now. And we have one more for you. Boy, that's grand. That's grand. You can sure smell the blessing, the marriage of the corn and the clam. Good old American eating. One more. This one I'm making for my friends here, from our crew, for the people who eat all of this food. It's a beer and cheese soup, and they'll eat anything. I promise you that. But this one is for them, and it is beer and cheese. Nothing to it, and very good. Here we go. I have in my kettle here some sautéed. Look at me sautéing all these onions and celery, which that adds a marvelous flavor to your soup. So it's perfectly all right to do that. We have a cup of celery and a cup of onions that we've sautéed. To that, I'm going to add a cup of carrots that I've sautéed. And we don't have to chop any of this stuff up. We saute them. Why do I keep sauteing? Well, if you want them brown, then you'd add extra color to your soup. But these I've left in the pan just until they're soft, so that it's very tender and nice, you see. And they'll give up their flavor much quicker if they're sautéed first. They have that toasty flavor, you see. You don't want to brown them unless you want to color the soup. Then there's natural sugar in the carrot, and when that sugar is caramelized, it will add a lovely brown color to your soup. But we're not trying to do that today. All right? You get all that? Now then, to the pot, we want to add 6 cups of chicken stock. Oh, look at this. It looks like an old English beer pitcher. It comes from Hall, China, and I just think it's gorgeous. Isn't that fun? I'd love to have that full of beer, too. I love beer with this soup. Have the beer along with the beer and cheese soup, and some bagels, perhaps. And you have a whole meal without any problem. Now, the cheese is already grated, and I'm going to add to it. This is a good half pound of cheese, or over a cup, you see. And I've added to that a little bit of flour, about half a cup of flour. All right. Now we're going to stir that. This is the difficult part. Take you about 2 seconds, but be patient, please. You're going to stir this into the hot broth. This is not quite hot enough yet, but I'm going to do it in front of you anyway. Just stir it in slowly, and you've mixed the flour with the cheese for 2 reasons. One, the flour is going to thicken the stock, but 2, the flour keeps the cheese from sticking to itself, and that way it will cook beautifully. I'll show you. I have one that's all finished. Now, for seasoning, we're going to have some fun with this one. For seasoning, you know already I'm going to put Tabasco in this, don't you? You could smell it coming, right? All right, let's put in a shot of Tabasco for the sake of old times. Where's the beer, Agnes? Be patient. The beer's coming. I want to simmer the cheese, thicken the soup first, and then we'll add the beer at the end. Now I need to add a bit of dry mustard, about half a teaspoon. There we go. Don't want that to be too lumpy. And we need to add a bit of Worcestershire. Is that correct? A gal from Boston wrote me a note, was just really complaining about my pronunciation of Worcestershire sauce. But there's no such thing. It is Worcestershire. And I appreciate your letters, but if you want an answer, please enclose the self-addressed stamped envelope, will you? It's so hard for my office to operate if we can't keep track of your letter in an envelope. Then I'd be glad to write back, and I do. Okay, we're going to cook this for a while, and then we'll add 1 can of beer. Now, don't ask me what kind of beer. I don't care. Whatever kind you like. That's a 12-ounce can of beer. And you should add this towards the end of the cooking process after it's nice and thick. And we're ready. Let me get one out of the oven for you, and I'll show you the last step. Because in order to make this a whole meal, we want to throw in a bit of sausage. And I'm going to use Polish sausage for mine. There we are. Ouch, I need another pot holder. Excuse me here. Now you know why you have to have all this stuff ready before they come, you see. And the soup pots, if you buy heavy pots, good heavy pots, they'll keep the soup hot on the table for a long time. These heavy ones are from France. They're put out by Le Creuset. And the white porcelain one, in which I've placed my clam chowder, is porcelain from the Hall China Company. That's a restaurant supply house. And they're now on the market for everybody. And I think that's just wonderful fun. All right, here it comes. The last soup for our celebration of restoratives. Ugh. And this is the beer and cheese soup. You see the carrots floating about in there? Isn't that beautiful? Now, the only thing we need to make that a great celebration are some croutons. And where's a bigger spoon? Well, I don't have a bigger dipper. I'll just give you a small bowl here. I'll give you a big bowl and a small serving. That's what I'm going to do. Because I want to read something to you while we still have time. I'm going to put some croutons in this, and I've made croutons simply from garlic and bread, and I fried them. You see, I fried them in a pan. I don't like to bake them. I like to fry them in a pan. There. And that'll make a marvelous meal. Did you get the cheese and beer soup recipe? Put the beer in at the last. Start with the stock, your sautéed vegetables, cheese mixed with flour, season it with Worcestershire, with a bit of mustard, and some salt and pepper, and then finally at the end, throw in the beer. It's wonderful. I would finish off the whole meal with some bagels, toasted bagels, a green salad, and what do you want out of life? You're set, you see. Isn't this wonderful? Oh, it's wonderful, but I don't know where to put the rest of this stuff. Well, you can see the salad and the bagels, and we'll just put them out here. And that's a soup buffet that you can have ready before your guests arrive, and you can enjoy a good time with them. And that's the point of entertaining. Judith, what is her last name? Martin, who does Miss Manners, has a wonderful line about soup. Please, you've got to hear this. Do we have a kinder, more adaptable friend in the food world than soup? No, and she goes on and says, soup sticks with you all the time. Who warms you in the winter and cools you in the summer? Yet who is capable of doing honor to your richest table and impressing your most dramatic guests? Soup does its loyal best, no matter what undignified conditions are opposed on it. But soup knows the difference. Soup is sensitive. You don't catch steak hanging around when you're poor and sick, do you? Miss Manners, you're a beauty. I absolutely love it. There you are. Set out a buffet of soups for your household, your friends. Please remember, there's nothing low class about soup. Soup is a thing to be enjoyed. It'll bolster you in the wintertime and cool you off in the summertime. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, and have a good time. That's the nature of good entertaining. Until we eat again then, together, this is the Frugal Gourmet. I bid you peace. Bye-bye.